Your butt keeps getting in the way. Yes, your big old butt. Your B-U-T. You thought I was talking about your rear. Nope. I'm talking about the objections in your life, your thoughts, and your actions. Let's get your butt out of here in today's episode called Use What You Got. Hello and welcome to the Warrior and Princess podcast. I'm your host, Joby Jones. This podcast is designed to speak life and encouragement into your soul, point you to Jesus, and tell stories that are vulnerable and full of raw emotions in order to spur you on toward freedom in Christ. So let's dive right into today's episode. As many of you know, we just finished the series titled From the Pit to Praise using Book 1 in the Psalms. And now we are moving into a new series on Wednesdays. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe so that we can be together in your car or in the kitchen or at the gym or wherever you listen to this podcast. And I just want to thank you today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with me. So let's dive right in. Over the years, I have spoken to many people concerning their dreams and aspirations. Some had a business idea, some a desire to be in ministry, and some had ideas for inventions and even creative outlets. And although they all had great vision for their lives, they also had lots of reasons, or rather excuses, their butts as to why they couldn't do them. Many times, I would encourage them to move forward, knowing their potential to be successful. However, their BUTs would always get in the way. I have been guilty of this at times in my life too. And like many people, I have had to make the decision to not allow excuses to stop my endeavors. I want you to know that moving forward in your life will take a lot of determination to press through all of the excuses that arise in order to move forward in the direction of your dreams and desires. There are some pretty amazing things that can happen through our willingness to be determined. But first, let's take a look at our beloved Moses in the book of Exodus. Moses had a few of big old butts. And just in case you don't know who Moses is, here's just a little backdrop of Moses' life. Moses was born a Hebrew, aka an Israelite, who was raised in Pharaoh's palace as an Egyptian. He was not lacking anything. He was well fed and had many luxuries for sure. One day, when he was older, he witnessed one of his peoples, another Hebrew, being beaten by an Egyptian because the Hebrews were slaves. In a nutshell, that angered Moses and he killed the Egyptian. Pharaoh finds out and seeks to kill Moses. So Moses flees Egypt and dwells with his people, the Hebrews, his wife, and his father-in-law, Jethro. He was herding sheep and God appears to him in a burning bush. Mind-blowing, y'all. Anyway, this story has so many details, and I encourage you to read it in its entirety. I will put all the chapter references in the show notes for you. Okay, moving forward. I just want you to know that Moses had a divine encounter with God that would alter his life forever. In this encounter, God calls Moses to deliver his people, the Israelites, out of Egypt and out of the harsh slavery that they were in. In Exodus 3, verses 7 through 10, God says, "Then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people in Egypt, and have heard them crying out because of their oppressors, and I know about their sufferings. I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians, and to bring them from that land to a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the territory of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The Israelites' cry for help has come to me, and I've also seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. Therefore, go, I am sending you to Pharaoh, so that you may lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Whoa, can y'all imagine this scene? hearing God's audible voice, displaying his tender heart for his people. God and Moses continued to have a conversation, and Moses starts with, guess what, y'all? All of his buts, his objections, his excuses. Moses is just like you and I. We are called to do something in the kingdom, and we are called to be used by God for his glory through our visions, our dreams, our endeavors, etc. And we end up being just like Moses, full of a whole lot of buts. I see his excuses throughout his conversation with God, and I wonder if you see them too. In chapter 3, verse 11 says, "But Moses asked God, 'Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the Israelites out of Egypt?'" In other words, I'm not qualified. Okay, let's look at chapter 4 and verse 1. Then Moses answered, "What if they won't believe me and will not obey, but say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" In other words, I won't be taken seriously. Let's look at chapter 4 and verse 10. But Moses replied to the Lord, "Please, Lord, I have never been eloquent, either in the past or recently, or since you have been speaking to your servant, because I am slow and hesitant in speech." In other words, I can't speak well. And in chapter 4, verse 13, Moses said, "Please, Lord, send someone else." In other words, I can't do it. How many times have we told ourselves the same thing? You have a business idea and your gut says, "I'm not qualified." You have a dream or an aspiration concerning a mission trip or ministry and your gut says, "I can't do that." You have an invention brewing in your thoughts and your gut says, "I won't be taken seriously." Or you have a creative artist in you and you want to speak or write or draw or paint or design and your butt says, "I have never been eloquent in speech or the creative arts." All of these excuses, they're so good, aren't they? And they have such power over us that there's actually a possibility that we will never see the promised land in our lives if we don't act on what God is brewing on the inside of us. I want to circle back around to chapter 4, verses 1 through 2. I saved verse 2 until now for a reason. Let's go ahead and read. Okay, verse 1. Then Moses answered, "What if they won't believe me and will not obey me, but say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" The Lord asked him, "What is that in your hand?" "A staff," Moses replied. Okay, did you all catch what God just said? What is that in your hand? Moses replies, "A staff." Let me ask you again. Did you catch that? God said, "What is that in your hand?" See, like Moses, God will take what's in your hands and use it. If you don't take the time to see what you have in your hands, you will not move forward. God uses Moses' staff. His staff was something he used every day in his everyday job, doing what he did every single day, and that was shepherding the sheep. God took Moses' staff, anointed it with his power, and then used it to part the Red Sea and deliver the Israelites from Pharaoh's army. What? Drop the mic, Moses. I mean, what? Blown away, y'all. So I ask you, just like God asked Moses, what is that in your hand? You have got to use what you got. If you keep waiting for the right time, the money, for your life to get settled, for the kids to ... then there could be a life that is waiting for you with such power from God that you could very well see seas part in front of you. But all of your BUTs, all your excuses keep getting in the way. Some of us look at the big picture rather than the next step. I don't want to leave you here, so here are some suggestions. if you have a business idea, can you at least pick out your business name and get a $20 .com from GoDaddy? At least it's a start. Or can you at least talk to someone who has gone on a mission trip or is in ministry and get inspired by their stories to take the next step and to serve in a ministry that is related to the ministry idea that you have? Or can you skip the Starbucks and the Chick-fil-A line and start a jar of cash to go on that mission trip that you are feeling led to go to? If it's an invention, can you at least start researching online to see if there's anything like what you're thinking about out there? Or can you go into the garage or the kitchen and just start piecing together a prototype with whatever junk you have laying around the house? Or if you desire to write, to teach, to speak, to draw, to paint, can you at least go on YouTube and watch some how-to videos? Then grab a canvas or get the Word document and just start. See, truly you just got to use what you got. Stop looking at the size or the complexity of the thing in front of you. Rather, start looking at how you can get there one step at a time, using what you already got in your hands. Well, friends, I just want to leave you with this last bit of encouragement. I love how the Lord isn't letting Moses off the hook. See, the Lord always sees more in us than we see in ourselves. He knew Moses had what it took to be used by him. And friend, the Lord isn't letting us off the hook either. He knows our potential. He knows your potential, my friend. He knows you're capable. So take what's in your hands. Take what you have right now and run, my friend. Run your race. Finish strong. Do whatever it is that God is calling you to do, or whatever it is that you feel on your heart. You can do this, not because you have everything that it takes, but God has everything that it takes. And when you give him what's in your hands, he will empower that and use it for his glory. Well, friends, until next Wednesday, God bless you and ciao for now.